Today, I want to discuss the great misunderstanding. This trope in Korean dramas from the 2000s and early 2010s. If you ever picked up a romance novel, especially of the 80s and 90s, this was one of the major tropes used. A drama that really exemplifies how dramatic this trope could get was Secret from 2013. It had Ji-sung and Hwang Jung-kyum, and there was a lot of misunderstandings.
사람을 쳐놓고 그냥 가면 안 되지 대리.
In this drama, the female lead takes on the blame for a hit and run to save her fiancé, and so the male lead believes she is the one who killed his girlfriend and unborn child. Which is why he thinks it's okay to do things like this.
너 따위가 감히 내 걸 건드려?
But never fear, because all of that finally leads to this. Typical of this trope, the hero would be drawn towards the heroine despite believing the absolute worst of her, and the heroine would be in a situation where she can't clear up his misunderstanding for one reason or the other. The hero's behavior gets really egregious because, on the one hand, he is terribly drawn to her, almost helplessly, but on the other hand, he believes she is a really horrible human being. He's constantly experiencing inner turmoil because of her. And this crisis of feelings and beliefs makes him lash out at the heroine. This is a key point of this trope. The hero is extremely horrible to the heroine at this juncture of their relationship, while the heroine is either helpless to resist or hit back, or unwilling to hurt the hero in return. Maybe because she's just a genuinely good person and she just has a high tolerance for pain, like Hwang Jung-kyum in Secret, or she is protecting him, like Hanga in Moon Embracing the Sun, when she comes back into the life of the king, and the king believes that she is an imposter sent to mess with his head because she looks so much like his first love, and throws her in the prison for 3 days where she doesn't even get a drop of water. And of course, then her character goes through several other trials, which he could have put a stop to and would have put a stop to if he knew that she was indeed his first love and not an imposter. But because of this period of suffering, the hero later on feels abject remorse towards the heroine. He is utterly guilt-ridden because she had to suffer so much because of him. And added to that, she never hit back at him. She was never horrible to him in return. This heroine is usually extremely Gandhian in her approach to the hero, turning the other cheek and all that. She is virtue herself. And once the hero realizes that about the heroine, he grovels at her feet, and the heroine gets a moment to sort of get the upper hand in the relationship. Now, this is an interesting aspect of this trope, this upper hand. The hero usually occupies a higher position in society. He is richer, more powerful, maybe he's a celebrity. Either way, he's in a entirely different strata than the heroine. The heroine is really weak. Maybe she has been emotionally devastated by something that has happened in her life. She's definitely financially in a weaker position. This huge class gap is one of the major reasons that this trope exists. The heroine starts the journey in this really weak position, but at the end of the story, the heroine is barely the hero's equal. And the way she becomes his equal is by getting the moral upper hand. And the upper hand doesn't really put her in a higher position than him. It's not like for the rest of their life they're going to have arguments and she'll bring up what he had done before and he'll be like, yes, you win every argument ever. No, that's not what the story is going for. The story is making very sure we understand that the gap between them at the start of the story is so huge that the hero finally understanding the heroine's true virtues and how good she is, and that she had never done those awful things he believed of her, and that she had suffered in silence while he tortured her. All of those things, and the hero's guilt barely brings the heroine up to be equal enough that now they can have a relationship. The heroine comes up in the world, hero doesn't go down at all. He loses only one thing, and that is the right to look down on the heroine. And that is an important aspect of the great misunderstanding. Because as you might have noticed till now, I have been specifically telling you about how the hero is the one doing the misunderstanding, the heroine is the one being misunderstood. This particular trope usually flows in this fixed direction. The genders are pretty much fixed. Occasionally they try to flip it, but the dynamic immediately becomes weaker and the story isn't as interesting. So the class divide really is ultimately the reason why the great misunderstanding trope existed. But you didn't always need to have the great misunderstanding trope to exist in a story to talk about class. My Name is Kim Samson and Secret Garden both did that really well. They actually faced the question of class divide and how two people from two different stratas would overcome that. In Secret Garden, they literally swapped bodies and figured out each other's perspectives. But my point is, those stories were directly challenging the idea of the class divide. The stories that employ the great misunderstanding didn't really want to directly talk about the class divide. They wanted to solve that problem, the problem of the woman being from a weaker section of society and also just having like a weaker position within the relationship with the hero without really underlining what the problem is. So, why was this trope so popular at the time? Because the class divide existed in reality and the drama watching audiences wanted more stories about it. And this was a morality play where the virtuous heroine has to go through this traumatic trial by fire to prove herself. But once she has proven herself, the hero can never doubt her again. The hero will now forever be so grateful that she has forgiven him for his big mistake in not knowing how wonderful she is, that he will never abuse her, he will never mistrust her, he will never doubt her. Once their love is affirmed in this way, she emerges virtuous, victorious, and having secured the love of this man. And if you haven't figured it out yet, the great misunderstanding trope ultimately is not about the hero being a jerk to the heroine. It's about the heroine going through a hero's journey to finally land up in a place where she is powerful enough to be the hero's equal, morally. This is a female empowerment fantasy. This was all we wanted. We wanted the hero to acknowledge the heroine's goodness and never doubt her. And of course, we as the audience absolutely loved this. We loved that the heroine was sort of the personification of goodness. She may be clumsy, she may be silly at times, she may make poor decisions, she may make us extremely frustrated because she refuses to tell the hero the truth, whatever the truth may be. But ultimately, we absolutely love the fact that the hero, once he figured out how wrong he was, how terribly he had treated her, and how much he owes her, once that moment struck, that's when the real payoff would happen. Okay, so that is what I wanted to discuss today. Thank you for watching. Bye.